Gotcha! Wildfire spreads! You don't know what you...
What's going on YouTube? I got another video for you here today, and this is my Puncture Rupture melee build. This is what I ended up league starting. I haven't had as much time as I normally do. I've been working a lot and stuff like that, but I wanted to put out this video in case anybody was doing something similar or whatever the case may be. This was the build that I farmed up my headhunter on, as well as, you know, we've got about 27 of the challenges done. So I'll finish all these out on this build. Yeah, it feels good. It's a lot of fun, you know. We've killed a few of the Ubers, haven't done all of them yet. Haven't done the Feared. Haven't done a few of the Invitation. So we've only done the Forgotten and the Formed. They were super easy. I just haven't focused super heavily on bossing. They won't have a problem. Feared might be a little bit of an issue, but it should be fine. Survivability's up now and all that. So all the rest of these will, you know, Elder Slayers, these will all be no problem. But yeah, so we'll get right into it. I don't want to blab too much. As you can see, we have Headhunter. This is what I've been using for mapping, making currency. And then Rislathas is what I leveled with and kind of what I use for bossing and all that kind of stuff. Generally, this is a better belt. Headhunter is obviously just Headhunter, so we use that for mapping. But, you know, you lose a considerable amount of damage, and then you rely a little bit more heavily on your Headhunter. But then, you know, as you start getting buffs, you get super powerful, start running around super fast, all that. But Rislathas is a better belt for this build, almost in every aspect. As of now, you know, originally we started with Abyssus, and then eventually we just went to a just a regular rare helmet. Ideally, if you want all your auras, you need to have 90% you know, socketed mana reservation efficiency corrupted onto these. They go for about 4 or 5 divine. But you know, once I had enough damage to move off of this, it was fine. But this is an insane amount of damage. So for leveling and just kind of generally playing, these are better. It's nice to move off of Abyssus at some point just because of that increased physical damage taken. We are an armor build, so it that does hurt us a little bit. But yeah, so that's what you'll want to use kind of leveling up. And, you know, I'll put the leveling trees, my actual leveling trees that for the actual items that I had for league start and things like that. You know, you can kind of go from there if you're interested. Otherwise, you know, we're using a replica at Series Acuity so that we can get perfect agony. You also get some crit chance on there. This is heavily based on crit, and it is important to crit because, you know, now and I don't think it used to be that way, but perfect agony makes it to where your sorry, I was blank there for a second. Non-critical strikes cannot inflict ailments. So if you don't crit, you don't inflict bleed. And if you don't inflict bleed, you don't apply rupture. So you really want to be critting a lot. You know, I leveled to about 60 or 70 before I started transitioning into crit. And it's just, you know, again, you want to be critting pretty much every hit, at least 90% of the time, for this build to feel good. So that is kind of the hiccup with this build. You really need to focus crit. And where we get a little bit from the gloves, we get a lot from our body armor here. We have attacks have +1 point, you know, up to 0.15 critical strike chance, and that's flat crit. So that's, you know, that's really, really powerful. And then we also have additional curse. I do have a chance to gain power charge on here. I crafted this chest to test it out. I don't necessarily know if you need it, but you know, it is nice to have, you know, or, you know, before you have max crit. And now I do want to say too, with that being said, this is another piece of gear that we use leveling. As you know, you just have so much crit, and if you apply the quality catalysts, then for crit, then, you know, you can get it up to, I think if it's max rolled, it goes up to like 420. So, you know, these are the items that you absolutely want to use, and as your build starts to get more powerful, you can kind of swap over to rares. You know, eventually we went over to, you know, this has fractured damage over time multiplier, and then it also has crit chance and crit multi on it. This is not a great amulet, but, you know, it was as we kind of move off of some of these uniques, you know, we're crafting some of these items and whatnot. Yeah, so, and again, just so if, you know, I didn't get into it at the start, but if you were unaware, perfect agony basically allows it so that your crit multiplier, critical strike multiplier, is applied to damage over time multiplier. So we just stack a ton of damage over time multiplier and a ton of crit multi. That's one of the reasons why Abyssus is so good. You get that, you know, 100+% melee crit strike multi. And then, you know, we stack that all over the place. So crit multi, crit chance, and then obviously damage over time multiplier is nice as well. But typically, you know, you can find higher rolls on crit strike multiplier than damage over time multiplier. So it's really, really powerful once you kind of get everything in place. But kind of getting back into the gear, you know, we have replica series. We do have vulnerability on hit here. I used a ring until I found these. Haven't been a ton of these show up on the market. I didn't pay much for them, 3 or 4 divine. But, you know, otherwise, you know, you just need to use a ring. I swapped over to this is actually, I replaced the Circle of Guilt with my vulnerability on hit ring once I got these. So, you know, we just had that there. We have accuracy and chaos res and stuff here. And then again, we did body armor. Additional curse is important, and then the crit strike chance. Otherwise, you just get whatever you want. Armor, suppress, whatever it is that you're doing. Boots, nothing special here. Movement speed, life, resists. Weapon, we have, you know, we just go pure flat fizz, so we just want a ton of physical damage, crit strike chance, and attack speed. This has grants 5 life per enemy hit on it. It was just a bad slam. I'm working on another craft now. But ideally, that's hits can't be evaded instead of that life per enemy hit. And then we can lose this whole little cluster here and then apply another crit cluster down here somewhere. So, again, nothing crazy here. I got really lucky on crafting this, but, you know, you probably get a serviceable one for a couple divines. Shield, again, nothing crazy, just some physical damage reduction, reduced damage from crit, life, all max res, just survivability stuff, so nothing crazy there. As far as gems, we are using, we'll start here, Puncture of Shanking, Rupture Support, Volatility, Multi-Strike, Awakened Brutality, and Awakened Melee Fizz. And obviously we used the normal versions before we got these, and Multi-Strike is insanely expensive, so we'll eventually, for Awakened, so we'll eventually get that, but that's our 6th link. Our auras, we have Purity of Elements, Enlighten, Malevolence, and Herald of Purity. This is just a level 3, so with this helmet or with Abyssus, socketed gems 90%, you just need a level 3 Enlightened. I'm using Purity of Elements because we were using so many uniques, it was hard to get resistances. But now that I'm, you know, moving off of some of these uniques, I may end up moving off Purity of Elements and trying to find some resistances and finding another way to get ailment immunity and stuff. But it's just so powerful that chances are this probably stays. In our weapon, we have Vitality, Precision, and Arrogance. Again, just, you know, preserve a little bit of life for, you know, some regen and stuff like that. In our gloves, we have Molten Shell, Mark on Hit, Assassin's Mark, and Life Tap. I actually do not have Molten Shell on cast when damage taken or anything like that. Automation, you're more than welcome to do that. I just self-cast it because we have so few buttons on this build that it doesn't feel bad. So we have, you know, Val, Molten Shell, and regular Molten Shell, and then we have like our Enduring Cry and stuff. So then in our boots, Leap Slam, Blood Rage, Faster Attacks, and Life Tap. Again, this is just because we don't have a ton. We have good mana leech with our cluster jewel, but we don't have on hit or anything like that. So we don't want to be, you know, taking too much of our mana. So we use life tap where we can. And then in our shield, we have Enduring Cry, Urgent Orders, and Corrupting Cry. This can be life tap or whatever. We just wanted to take life. Corrupting Cry felt fine. And then again, we add some corrupted blood debuffs. Not sure how much it's actually doing, but you're more than welcome to swap this out for life tap. You just want this skill to cost life so that you don't ever have to not have or need it and not have access to it because, you know, you're still leeching mana or whatever the case is. So that's that. Again, we have charisma on here just for some mana res, and then again, headhunter, Rislothas is better. Generally speaking, headhunter is just a little bit more fun and better for kind of zooming through maps, stuff like that. And I do want to show. So this is the 98 with Abyssus and Rislothas. As you can see, we're at about 8.8 million bleed DPS. So that's a lot of bleed DPS. Feels good, you know. And then when we switch over to when we move off of Abyssus and Rislothas and we're on our headhunter, we're down to about 4.4 million DPS bleed DPS, which is still fantastic. It's a lot of damage, but you know, it allows us to use headhunter, and so you know we cut our damage about in half when we lose those two items. But you know, effective hit pool is 264,000, so it's, you know, it's absolutely insane. We have max chance to block, almost max on spell, max on attack block, so that's pretty crazy. And then our physical damage reduction is about 84% with our flasks up and stuff like that. 79 all res, so survivability is insane, feels fantastic. Again, you do lose some survivability with Abyssus because of that, especially against melee attacks. I noticed a huge difference when I moved off of it to a rare helmet. From kind of those big slams from, you know, Uber, searing and stuff like that, it just wasn't as much of a problem when we moved off Abyssus. So there is a trade-off. If you want damage, go Abyssus. If you want survivability, go rare. You know, your call on that. Kind of getting into the item or our tree now, we have a Light of Meaning with physical damage. So every single one of these nodes that we have here gives us 6% increased fizz. So there's a lot of them here that it's a lot of damage. You could also use the crit strike chance one here, especially early would be really, really nice. And then, you know, pretty standard pathing. Again, once we get hits can't be evaded on our weapon, we'll move this, and we might move some of these things around a bit. But for now, this is where we're at. We cannot be stunned. We do have a 12 passive fizz here with 35% increased effect, all LE res, attack speed, damage. This rolled really nice, and again, with all the uniques, it's hard to find elemental resistances, so this is super helpful, and it's an insane amount of damage. You know, you're getting, what is it? For each one of these nodes, 5%, 21, there's 10, so you're getting 210% increased damage from this cluster here, along with, you know, 50 all res and another 10% increased attack speed. So this is an insane amount of just everything, damage, survivability, all that. As far as our small clusters, we have Hemorrhage and Quick Getaway on both of these. And then same here, we want the attack speed, the crit strike chance, and then damage over time multiplier is really, really nice. On this cluster, we have Fuel the Flight for leech mana. We have Blood Scent so that we gain our rage. And then we have Martial Prowess for attack speed and just some extra damage and stuff like that. Most of our clusters are somewhere along the lines of these right here. So it's life, crit strike multi to one-hand melee weapons, reduced effective curses on you, and then damage or whatever. This one has damage over time. This one has just regular damage. Our Watcher's Eye is crit strike multi precision, damage over time multi malevolence. So that's an insane amount of damage. And then here we have, again, same thing, crit strike chance, melee weapon, curse. So we have about 90% reduced effective curses on us. So, you know, we don't end up having to take elemental res, can't be lowered by curses, etc., etc. So just with, you know, 3 joules, you can get to 90%, 4 joules, you can get to 100%. So curses have 100% reduced effect on you. And then, you know, and that's that. So this is where we're at. Over here, we also have aggravate on crit. Because we crit so much, we have a 50% chance to aggravate bleeds. So that procs, you know, super often. Then we have maim here, so we have 20% chance to maim. So we have access to everything that we need. You know, we have our aggravate, we have our maim, we have all that kind of stuff. So stun, you know, ailment avoidance. It really is, you know, a full complete build. That's again, I need a little bit more work to get my to really be able to destroy the Ubers. But you know, as of right now, it felt good against the ones that I have fought. Uber Shaper, Uber Searing, that might be it. Uber Eater, maybe. So I haven't done them all, but and Cortex, I believe. So that's that. Again, everything is super chill. Up here we have our corrupted blood. Nothing crazy here, just a little bit of spell damage. This could be replaced, honestly, but it's, you know, it's pretty good for now. If it had life on it with these other lines, that would be fantastic. We're about 4k available life, so pretty good. And that's that. So, as far as Pantheon, we are using Soul of Lunaris and Soul of Rislotha. Just kind of generally speaking, Rislotha is, in my opinion, the most powerful node in the Pantheon for a bleed build, just simply because of that enemies you hit recently have 50% reduced life regeneration rate. So really this is the only one I think that converts to an actual, it's not actual damage, but it allows you to bypass some of the enemy's damage mitigation, right? Against bleed, against damage over time. If they're you know, sometimes you'll run into those crazy rares that have super crazy life regen, and you can't kill them. So if you have this, and you can also get it on the helmet as well. Whoop. All right, now we can't put that back in. Perfect. But you can also get that on the helm if you don't want the mana reservation efficiency of skills. So if you don't need that, or if you have a level 4 or level 5 Enlighten, you could get 100% reduced life regeneration rate on enemies, and you know, it feels really good. But Rislotha is the most important here, and then, you know, Lunaris is just nice because it gives us some avoidance and a little bit of survivability and stuff like that, so it feels pretty good. So I think that's it. You know, we covered tree, we covered gear, we covered gems. Flasks, again, you can either do gains charges when hit by an enemy, or when you deal a critical strike. Again, both recharge fairly similarly. We're constantly getting hit, but we have block and armor and all that. We don't have any evasion, so if we get hit by everything essentially. And then poison is our only one that we need to mitigate, and then we just have, again, crit strike. We are using bottled faith. I believe I just used the crit flask, diamond flask, or the sulfur damage, whichever one you feel like you need. Then we have corrupted blood, and then instant recovery on our life flask. So nothing crazy. Build feels good. I'm actually super happy. I tried some rupture builds back in the day when it was still in the Deadeye Ascendancies, and it was always fine, but now it really feels really good, especially with some of the items that exist, like replica at Series Acuity and things like that. So yeah, so that's it, guys. I just wanted to go over that. If you guys have any interest in it, by all means, feel free to reach out and ask questions, send me a message me in game, whatever. I'm hanging out. I've been working a lot, but you know, I'm still around, and the game is often open even when I'm working. So, you know, I can respond if you have questions and things like that. So appreciate you guys watching, and hopefully I'll get to make more content soon. But until then, peace, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.